Welcome to MCN and welcome to Anglesey Circuit in the sunshine. And we're here today to ride this. This is Indian's Challenger RR. Now this is the bike that they've created in limited numbers, just 29, to celebrate the fact that they won last year's King of the Baggers Championship with Tyler O'Hara, and that's over in America, in the Moto America series. So they brought us here today. There's just 6 of us riding this bike, and we're going to get a handful of laps to see what this beast of a race replica can do. Right, so we're joined now by someone who really knows how to get the most out of these bikes. This is Jeremy McWilliams, Indian King of the Baggers factory rider. So Jeremy, I guess a lot of people probably equate you with your MotoGP days and your 250 and 500 Grand Prix days. So how on earth did you arrive at the point where you're riding something like this?
Very good question, actually. A couple of years ago, I was contacted by S&S Cycles. Paul Langley asked me to come over and look at a new project that they were looking at with the view to racing Daytona. And what he told me was, a class called King of the Baggers using cruisers, and I kind of nearly thought it was a bit of a wind up at the beginning, and then he sent me some information over it about the bike, and quite quickly I thought, yeah, that looks like an interesting project. Maybe it's something I would like to take a look at. And then unfortunately, just with lockdown and stuff, it wasn't possible to go and look at it. But luckily, a couple of years later, they phoned me back and said, "Will you come and have a look at it now?" Because we've made a lot of improvements,
right? And
the bike is definitely improving very, very quickly from the very, very first attempt that they had at making this into a sports bike or making a King of the Bagger work on the racetrack.
Yeah.
And I went over and basically they asked me to help out with the development of it, try to help with throttle maps, give some inputs into geometry, steering, how to improve the bike, and it's kind of gone from there. I guess that's why they've kept me on, because I've been with Indian now for 2 years on this project, and over the 2 years it's made like huge improvements from where we really began, and a lot of that's to do with electronics on how we control the throttle map, the stiffnesses. We've really improved the stiffness in the swinging arm, for instance. The whole front end, the billet triple clamps. We've changed forks. Olin's have been good with us. We've definitely made a lot of improvements in the whole chassis, and then rider ergo on where we position the rider. And I mean, honestly, I'm right down to what we make these out of makes a big difference.
Oh, really?
So we found along the way there was so many things that we didn't understand how it would have an effect on the motorcycle, and then over time we've learned that okay, we don't use that anymore. We'll use this, and it's such a big competition in the States between Indian and Harley that we're under pressure to make sure that this gets around the racetrack.
Absolutely.
And wins championships. Yeah,
because it really counts. It's such a big market out there for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge,
It's win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
And they are doing that,
yeah, absolutely. So I think for most sort of like European riders, the King of the Baggers first came on the radar when you took your win last year, was it, in Daytona? Can you tell us a bit about that? Because the race itself looked pretty amazing, like the last lap especially.
Yeah, I've never seen social media just go so ballistic after that. I guess that's kind of whenever we all realized that this class was here to stay. And people were switching on. We were getting messages from guys in World Superbike and MotoGP watching this class and not watching the main event. Which is nice to hear. That I remember when I won Daytona, that race was just one of those races that it just worked out perfectly on the last lap.
Yeah, there's a lot of drafting involved.
Yeah, and staying. I stayed high, and Bobby went low, and then I nearly lost it to Tyler. Tyler came across second, and I just won it by the skin of my teeth, really, and a bit of luck involved too. But you know, when I first turned up to ride the bike on the Friday, I was nowhere. And, you know, trying to learn how to ride the bike over the weekend took me a while. I had to look at data. I sat up all night looking at data and looking at his data and how he got a little bit more out of the RPM than I was getting out of it. And I basically just copied kind of what Tyler was doing. I made it work for me. And then I went over to a World Superbike, and everybody in the paddock, it seems like everybody in the paddock has seen that race. So it's quite a cool class to be involved in. And you know, I think there's always going to be the haters, but there's more lovers of this class now than anything else.
Definitely. I think for me, it just looks so hairy, doesn't it? I mean, like MotoGP, the guys, you know, they're riding hard, but the bikes look stable all the time. With these, they're moving around, and there's loads of moments that are like massive, and that's...
I know it's kind of our job to try to alleviate that, you know, to make that, reduce that movement, but because of the nature of the rules, you know, we have to stay with standard chassis. We can't change the chassis, can't add material to the chassis. So really, it's the ancillaries that we're trying to improve. Like, we got much stiffer wheels now, you know, stiffer swing arms, as I said, and the front end. But everything in between has to remain as stock. So we're a little bit limited what we can do with that. But it also makes the ride a little bit more, as you said, a bit hairy. It's a bit more spectacular, and there's always a little bit of movement and weaving and sliding.
Yeah.
And yeah, you kind of get used to it. And then when somebody jumps on the bike and they notice it, they think, wow, how do you ride that like this? But just adapting to it. Yeah. And yeah, I think we're getting the best out of them. You know, the lap times just keep dropping. Even at Daytona again this year, the lap times dropped again, and the speed went up. You know, now reaching like 184 or 5 miles an hour or something on these. So
that's insane, isn't it? When you consider the amount of air that's got to push out of the way,
yeah.
It's sort of, yeah, it's...
But you know, you rode it today, and I'm sure you were impressed too with what it can do, because its agility is actually way better than you would imagine.
Absolutely, yeah. So what would you say are the sort of key points for riding something like this? Because it's a completely different style to riding a sports bike, isn't it?
Yeah, when you jump on it, you can feel that it's, you know, it's quite a different riding position, obviously. Then you have to use a lot more. It's a bit more physical. So when you're riding at 100%, there's a lot of physical input to make to get the bike to go where you want it to go. Corner speeds are insane, and you know, to me, I still can't work that out. You know, because we know that lighter bikes should be faster around corners, but because this makes so much grip with the amount of force that it puts into the rubber, we run higher pressures because the cornering force is, you know, you basically have to talk yourself into going into the corner faster than you want to go into it.
So it's like a leap of faith.
Yeah, and then once you've trusted it, once you've made that step, then the lap time starts to come. But yeah, it's quite different. You know, it's pushing beyond what your brain is telling you that it's capable of doing, and then it's also balancing brakes out. So we're using as much rear brake as we are front, which you never do on a sports bike. So the only way that we get it pulled up is using like that huge disc with those big, you know, 4 piston calipers on the rear and stuff, and massive engine braking. So we're balancing the brake a lot more than we would be on sports bikes. So it is a little bit different, but I think anybody can adapt to riding one. It just takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, all the best for the rest of the season, and yeah, we'll definitely be watching.
Thanks very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks.
It's been an absolutely awesome day here at Anglesey. This bike is something totally different. It's mind-blowing in what it can do, in what it can achieve. I've literally ridden nothing like it in my entire life. It's agile, it's super aggressive on the throttle, and it's as far away from like a mellow sort of touring bike, which is essentially what this bike is based on, as you can possibly get. It is amazing, and it's all credit to Indian for actually getting it out there, taking on this amazing project, and, you know, competing in the King of the Bagger series. If you haven't seen any of the races, I suggest you just get on YouTube or wherever you watch it to go and watch it, because it's absolutely hilarious. So brilliant. I've had an awesome day today. So if you've enjoyed this video, why not give it a like, and remember to subscribe to the channel. Cheers, guys.